I hit a cat's eye on the road, and at that point I was riding tubed wheels.
Yeah.
And I hit it at such an angle, it burst completely, and my bike got thrown. My bike was fine. I got thrown over the barrier though, into the fans, and some guy caught me,
Oh my word.
and he put me back on my bike, not realizing it was punctured. And then I had to run the remaining 10K of the bike course because I was doing sprint distance in that race.
All right, welcome back to Bridging the Gap. This is the second episode in our mini-series where we speak with young sports stars about what motivates them, how they manage the demands of elite sport, and how international education supports their journey both on and off the field. So today we're joined by someone familiar to long-time listeners, namely Dexter, who's a grade 10 student who featured in episodes 15 and 16 back in April 2024. But of course, a lot has changed since then, as we'll find out. So Dexter has recently been selected for the UAE national triathlon team, along with another student, Max, in grade 9. So things are most certainly moving in the right direction. Now at just 15 years old, but on the verge of turning 16, Dexter regularly races in older categories and attends intensive training camps across the region. Today we'll talk about his development as an athlete, how he balances his life as an MYP student, and what the future might hold. So Dexter, welcome. Let's dive in.
Yeah, let's do it.
So what have been some of the points in your journey in these past 20 months that are sort of pivotal in your progression, specific points?
One of my good friends reached out to me with an email address and told me I really need to message this man. He was getting together the best triathletes in the UAE, and he thought I needed to be there as well. So with my coach, we wrote a nice little email to them. That was probably when it all kicked off. That was around summertime last year. And then from there, we went and visited them, got given a bunch of kit, and from there it's been pretty smooth sailing, moving very quickly. School's helped out a bit, and yeah.
Okay, so it's your 16th birthday this week, if I'm right. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously you compete in sort of under 18, under 19, under 20, open categories, if I'm not mistaken. So racing against older athletes, is that something that motivates you, or does it frustrate you, push you, or how do you find it?
Well, inside the UAE and the local races, I like to compete in the open category, which means there's no age category. You're racing everyone else around you. I really like doing this because it motivates me to push myself harder than I normally would, as although there are strong athletes in my age category, when you're racing everyone, you can't let someone go and let yourself slack off and think, it's fine, they're not in my age category. Because when we do go international, I'm racing U19 and U16. I can't have a mindset like that, and I need to chase everything. So.
Okay, awesome. Well, tell us about your coach and your what sort of exposure do you have to like good coaching?
So at the minute, I have two coaches. We have Coach Nacho, which takes us on about 2 to 3 weeks before a race, and he's our mental coach, and he really gets us in the mentality of the sport, that to keep pushing when you feel pain and all of that. But for most of my training, I have Coach Raf, which was the same coach as last year, but our training hours have increased slightly because we're still young, we've still got to grow. We can't train at the same level as professionals yet, but we still are upping our training slowly so our body can adapt to it. But training hours haven't changed that much, but we're just training more frequently, I'd say.
All right. And you've also been on training camps. Those were fairly intense. And I think, is there another one coming up?
Yeah, so on Friday we leave. So in 3 days we leave for a training camp in Fujairah. It was supposed to be in Saudi, but it got moved. And that's really just dialing in before a race, getting our fitness to a peak and getting really in that mindset.
And which race is that gearing up for?
Oh, that's gearing us up for Saudi. We had a similar one in Bahrain, which was the youth championships, youth Asian championships, which was amazing to go visit.
Right. So let's rewind a little bit. You were in Egypt for a training camp and then racing as well. So tell us about that.
So Egypt was for us, it was an opening race. It was to get us in that mindset. It wasn't important. There weren't many points behind it. But we went a week prior and we did a whole, I think, 7 to 9 days of training before the race, where we really just focused on our cycling, our swimming in the water, because every water is different, temperature, climate is different everywhere you go in the world, and you do have to adjust, sadly. So we spent a bit of time there before the race, doing some run sessions, bike sessions, swim sessions, practicing the course, and then, yeah.
If you think about swim, bike, and run, what do you think you've improved in most in the last sort of 18 months or so?
In the past 18 months, I've kind of let my cycling training go, only training 2 hours a week at the minute for cycling, as it is, well, it was my strongest discipline. But I've really been focusing on the run, getting in some longer runs, some more intense sessions, and my swim. I've really been grinding because although you can't win the race in the swim, you can lose it.
Okay, well, that's words to live by. Good. So let's just tune into school for a little bit. ATL skills in general in the IB are a huge part of the fabric of the makeup of the MYP and the diploma program. So we spoke off air a little bit about some of the ATL skills. So things like critical thinking. How does that sort of manifest itself in a training or a racing? Well, let's talk about critical thinking and some self-management skills like organization, resilience, that sort of thing.
Um, Time management is mainly like before races and to do with managing your schoolwork, because anything can mess up a race. Just getting stressed before it can completely sell your race. It's annoying like that, but it happens. And although time management is really, really important, especially coming up to race day, critical thinking takes over during the race, and you have to evaluate last second decisions like someone's picked up the pace on the run, will I follow or will I stay at my pace? And you have to also evaluate and manage the risks. Definitely self-management. You have to manage your time, your training, your schoolwork, your sleep, your food, all of that just comes into self-management, organizing yourself into pretty tight packed schedule, as well as reflecting on races.
Yep.
You really need to go back, think over what you could do better next time, where your weaknesses are, because triathlon's a sport where you're never really training your strongest suit. You're always training those points that are slightly weaker.
Okay, well, I'm glad it does transfer. So as a grade 10 student, you're also doing your personal project this year. And if I'm correct, you chose something fairly close to home in terms of your triathlon life. So could you talk us through what you chose, why you chose it, and how it's going so far?
Oh, of course I can. I chose to do bike mechanics for my personal project. To learn about bike mechanics is my learning goal. And my product goal was to build a bike and resell it for value. It was going well. I went to visit a bike in Dubai that was a little bit under UCI limits, which meant it was illegal to race, but
Okay.
it was going fairly cheap. But when I got there, they changed the price. And so time-wise, I couldn't spend any more time looking at new bikes I could buy for good deals. But I had a really close friend who has a bike that needs to be fully stripped and rebuilt. So last weekend, I actually went over to his place. It's an old Giant Propel time trial, and we fully stripped it, take out all the cabling, gearing, wires, everything. And it was a really fun project. It took me about 4 hours to fully strip. I've got a little list of parts that I just need to buy, and then I'll go back and rebuild the bike and sell it, and he's going to give me some profit from that so I can achieve my product goal, which will be really nice.
Nice. So in the super sprint, which is obviously the 375-meter swim, what sort of time would that take you on a good day?
On a good day with good ocean conditions, because it varies a lot, I'm normally coming out this swim in 4:30 to 5 minutes. So
Really?
yeah, so we really
You
push
have
this one.
fins on your feet or something. That's insane.
I
Okay.
wish I had fins on my feet.
That's pretty quick. Okay, wow. I was okay. Wow. So are you sticking with the super sprint at the moment? What is the plan for the
Um,
future?
Originally, we were going to be moving into sprint this year, but because of the Youth Olympics next year, me and Matthew, which is one of the other older boys in the team, we're staying in super sprint this year, and then we'll move up to sprint after the Youth Olympics.
And when's that, sorry?
That will be next year, October, December time.
Oh, okay. So it's a while. Okay. And Youth Olympics means under what?
It's under 18.
Okay.
It's super sprint distance, and you have to qualify for it, which is the hard part. There's, I think, 3 spots in the whole of West Asia. So,
Oh,
yeah.
West Asia. Is that
West
where
Asia.
we are? Okay.
Yes,
Right.
Middle East area.
Okay, well, okay. So coming back to the question, so moving over to the bike leg, you said you haven't trained your biking that much, but I know you're still super quick. So what sort of average speed are we talking over the 10Ks?
Over 10K, I probably go in between 40 and 43 kilometers an hour. Of course, depending on hills, wind, and on good days, sometimes you can go a bit
And what
faster.
sort of power output are we cranking there on average?
Ooh. In T100, which is the race I did 2 weekends ago, I was averaging 350 watts on a bike, but my normalized power is around 300, 320.
That's insane. Okay, I mean, wow. So after that, you're then going to run 2.5Ks as fast as you possibly can. And
Oh.
let me guess, you're going at 330 or something like that?
Most races I average around 330, but in more recent races I've been dropping. We did a time trial yesterday actually at Hederick where I dropped 3 flat for the run, so
Wow.
I'm hoping to be running a bit quicker at the end, hopefully sub threes, but only time will tell.
Okay, so I probably know the answer to this, but out of the three disciplines then, so which of those would you feel confident about blowing away the competition if you're in a race?
Probably my bike leg, to be honest.
Okay, I was going to think run. Okay.
My
Right.
bike leg's really strong. The Chinese athletes, they run really quick, so
Okay,
it's tough.
nice. All right, so you've represented the UAE internationally a couple of times already. Can you talk us a little bit through these experiences? I know you had some learning curves there as well.
In Bahrain, because they submitted me last minute for the race, because you were technically only allowed 2 athletes, but we had seen one of the other countries had been allowed to submit 3. So I went as a backup athlete at the time because when they registered everyone else, they joined the team a bit earlier than me. So I was a backup athlete and I wasn't expecting much when I went, but I got a position on the start line. But because I was the last athlete, the swim boys here, the start line's here. Everyone had ordered up from here because it was closer to the first boy. And I was all the way on this side and I had to cut across everyone. I had a really good start into the water and I took first position, but when I had to cut across to get to the boy, one of the other boys in the water, he decided he didn't like me too much. He unzipped my tri suit and it came off quite quickly.
That's next level annoying. Um, all right. So triathlon is not just physical. I think you mentioned earlier about your coach preparing you mentally. There are so many variables to consider, meaning that from the technical side, so much can potentially go not quite as planned. And you've already worked through lots of these. And when we've spoken about some of your races, you've also told me about some of the annoying things or the surprises that have happened. Although you do seem to generally shrug these off and finish strong. So, what other experiences could you share with us? Maybe humorous, maybe annoying. Like, what has happened that you've learned from?
Definitely one of the best ones I've ever done. Was I've popped my back wheel and I got thrown off the bike and into a spectator. That was quite funny. They
When you say
caught me.
popped your back wheel, you mean it burst?
I hit a cat's eye on the road, and at that point I was riding tubed wheels.
Yeah.
And I hit it at such an angle, it burst completely, and my bike got thrown. My bike was fine. I got thrown over the barrier though into the fans, and some guy caught me.
Oh,
And he put me back on my bike, not realizing it was punctured. And I had to run the remaining 10K of the bike course because I was doing sprint distance in that race. And but another big one I've had recently is people touching my transition, people moving shoes around and stuff. And so when I come in off the bike, my shoes aren't where I put them. So you're playing this little game of Find Waldo, but it's Find My Shoe.
Oh no. I would suggest you do it to others, but no, I wouldn't obviously suggest such things. All right. So, looking ahead, what's coming up? Obviously, we have the training camp we were talking about. What are the races that you're most looking forward to in the next months?
Coming up, we have Saudi, which is our next one, which is my final chance to hold my qualification position for the Youth Olympics, which would be amazing because that would be a great step towards the Olympics in the future if I actually want to go into this my career. And then we've got WTS coming up, I think, in March time. But apart from that, it's just local races and training.
Which event was where the Russian team was here? Was it
That was Kalba.
Kalba? Okay, nice. All right, so we'll finish off with 5 quick rapid fire questions. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So, swim, bike, or run? Which one secretly gives you the biggest ego boost?
Oh, definitely the bike.
Okay. Nice. When you fly past people.
When I fly past people and like when I make attacks on the bike as I do into transition and I can just hear them panting behind me as we get off the bike, it really boosts you
Satisfying.
mentally.
Okay. What's your worst triathlon villain? Is it heat, headwind, or slow transition?
Oh, for me, my worst villain is the swim, especially swim training, just staring at the floor for hours on end.
Okay.
But
So the training side of things. What about in a race?
In a race, it's definitely got to be the heat. Hitting that run and it being hot is just the worst feeling.
Well, living where we are is something you've definitely gotten used to. Well, try to anyway. Favorite post-race treat? Burger, ice cream, sleep immediately, or something else?
It has to be some McDonald's.
Okay.
My coach can't hear this. But yeah, I do like to treat myself to some McDonald's after a race. I enjoy it and I'm not allowed to eat it while training.
Yeah. No, we'll beep that part out. Okay, dream race location anywhere in the world.
Ooh, this is interesting because I train in the heat, so anywhere hot's going to be a better race for me. Anywhere with a good bike course and run course. To be honest, I really want to race in America. I've never been there before, and the races there, they just look big and interesting.
Nice. Final one. What's more painful, the last kilometer on the run or waiting at the start line?
Oh, this would be very debated. For me, I try to relax on the start line, so I'm cracking jokes, talking to the people around me, because even just doing that can put them off their game slightly and give me a slight advantage. But yeah, definitely that final kilometer in the run is pain.
It's just digging deep. Yeah. Okay. Well, Dexter, looking forward to following your progress. Thanks so much for the chat.
100%.
Cheers.
No problem.